Good morning and welcome to a new episode of At Your Service with this guy, Chris Moore.
Howdy.
How are you doing this morning?
Great, you?
Doing well. It's cold out.
It is, but
We're
we're
having an active winter, Chris.
it's been very active. We're having a little warm up, a little
A
meltdown.
little warm up over the next few days. I think it's kind of like a roller coaster actually.
Yeah, it is.
But I feel like we've had very active winter so far in terms of snowfall.
Yes.
I don't recall us having snow this early in the most recent years, the last few at least.
Yeah, we don't. And we're always prepared for it by November 1st, but would prefer not to mess with it until well after the first of the year.
You're always prepared for it. I don't think we're prepared for it.
That's
but
true.
At least service is prepared for it. So let's talk about that a little bit. So let's talk about like when we have these snowfalls. What type of preparations do you go through with your crews in managing a snow event?
Well, for something like we had over the weekend, it starts really a day before. Because you want to start to the best of our ability, making sure people, anybody who's going to be plowing can get their schedule situated. We can't always do that, but when we know there's something coming, we try to start getting people's schedule situated. We begin working on the trucks to make sure that when we put them away after a storm, we do our best to make sure they're ready to roll, but we then get them back out, go over them, make sure they're filled up with salt and ready to go. That way, when it does start snowing, there's not preparation happening during the snowstorm.
So on an event like last weekend, which was obviously a very significant one, I mean, crews are out for a long time. Like how many hours are we talking?
Yeah.
How many shifts?
Yeah, we went full go for 24 hours. Really 15 to 22 trucks on the road from noon on Saturday through noon on Sunday. And then as Sunday went on, we had things in pretty good shape. We kept a minimum of 4 here through the day and into the night to take care of any refreeze or any problem spots. Or, we know there are times, there are areas that we miss, or we got to them early and we need to get back to them, and they're there to take care of those problems.
So you brought up a good point there. So like not only are your crews actively working through the snow event, but for like up to 12 hours after a snow event?
At least. And really, our goal is to, once the snow ends, our goal is to get everything plowed within 12 hours. But even once that's done, we keep trucks on the street simply because there's refreeze. If the temperatures are low, there are so many problems that can happen.
True. And so you start obviously with the major arteries in the city. And so let's talk about the progression. How do crews work through the city?
So we have some detailed maps that we use that we've used for years. We change them as things change throughout the community, but we have what we call our primary streets, or A and our B streets, and think of an A street as something like North or South Limestone, or Columbia Street or North Street, the main thoroughfares that everyone is on. So our A streets are the ones we're getting absolutely first. Then we start hitting our B streets, and B streets are secondary streets that serve different purposes. Some, it might be that they're by a school, or in many cases, what it means is it allows a neighborhood, a lot of people in the neighborhood to get out to a main road. So think about Providence or Clifton Avenue. If everybody can get out and Clifton Avenue is good, then they can make it to John Street or Selma Road or Grand or Limestone. Okay. Providence, you have everyone up in Northern Estates. If they can get out to Providence and it's in good shape, then they can get to Middle Urbana, they can get to Durr, which those are A streets that give them a better opportunity to get around. And we do this also because, we do a lot of this with our first responders in mind. We want to make sure that on the main roads, they can make the best time possible. We don't know which house they're going to, but the odds of them driving down Limestone or Columbia are pretty good. So if those roads are clear, it gives them a better opportunity to make better time. So that's why we work the highest traveled roads and work our way down to the lesser traveled roads.
So obviously, to prepare and to clear the roads, you buy quite a bit of salt.
Yeah.
So how much salt do we buy here on an annual basis? And
So-
how do you go about doing that?
So we start, like, for example, in March, I will start working on buying salt for next winter.
Okay.
We start then, and the biggest winter we've had in the past 30-ish years is about 6,200 tons of salt. We make sure we have access to enough salt. When I say access, that would be salt in our barn
Okay.
plus salt that we can purchase. We want those numbers to equal about 6,200. An average year is about 3,200 tons of salt. So, and this year, we only needed to purchase around 2,000 to get us where we needed to be. Some years we're purchasing up to 4,000 to get us where we needed to be. It varies from year to year. But by the time we go out to bid in March, we have a really good idea of what we're going to need for that next year. And what we start in March, we have to first enter into an agreement with the Department of Transportation, work that through our legislative process. And then once that agreement is in place, the Department of Transportation goes out to bid for any government agency in the state that wants to join them.
Okay.
It helps everyone get better pricing. Those numbers come in late May, early June, and then we go back and we legislate the purchase of that salt with City Commission. And then once it's approved, we can get the purchasing in place for late July, early August, and start filling the barn up in late July, early August.
So that's why you start so early. I
Yeah.
mean, it's really a significant process that we
Yeah.
go through when
Yeah.
we procure anything here in the city. So I know that salt only works up to certain conditions. And last weekend we had not only significant snow, but we had a significant decrease in temperatures. So how did that affect our road clearing efforts?
So when it starts to get cooler like that, we have different liquids we add to the salt.
Okay.
There's a specific, the trade name is bead heat, but it helps the salt work down to much colder temperatures because really you get into the low 20s and salt starts to lose its effectiveness. You get below 15 and it really doesn't work well at all. When you add this liquid, you can start to see it melting down to 0 degrees. It helps the salt work better. It helps it go further. And the bead heat actually helps it stick to the road. So when we're throwing the salt out, it doesn't want to bounce off the road.
And do you pre-treat the roads? I know that that's something that I see those lines on the road sometimes. How do you determine when you're going to pre-treat?
We pre-treat some bridges and some elevated areas, but pre-treating in a city is a little different than on the interstate. If you think about when they pre-treat on the interstate, the vehicles are tracking it down the interstate and down the ramps. If we pre-treat limestone, for example, it's going to get tracked down every single side street and start to lose its effectiveness where we really want it. And then we also, you run into, I think we've all experienced, we tend to live right on that rain snow line here in West Central Ohio. You hear I-70 is the dividing line. If you pre-treat and it rains for an hour before it snows, in many cases your pre-treatment went down the drain. So we do pre-treat when the conditions warrant it, and we tend to stick to Spring Street overpass, 40 overpass, some elevated areas, maybe some north-facing hills that we're not going to be able to get to as quickly as we like. But to pre-treat everywhere just isn't super effective in an urban environment.
So I know that we use salt brine here, and you were very tactful in securing a grant earlier this year to get a new salt brine maker. Talk a little bit about that and how that helps.
So being able to make your own brine and make it accurately it helps significantly, because when you want the brine mixture to be in that 17 to 20% salt to water range, and having it made exactly makes it more effective, and you use less salt. You use less salt in the making process, and you are able to use less salt when you're actually applying everything to the road because the brine helps everything along.
And so with the salt brine maker, that actually, so this equipment actually makes the brine liquid.
Yeah.
So,
We had salt, we had water, and it mixes it the way it should, and then it's easy to put into the trucks.
oh, very nice.
We had an old one that we got. It was the old one that the Department of Transportation had, and it was much more of an art than a science to make it the way you wanted. This is it's very scientific and very easy.
Well, I know we all can agree in the community that one of the things that we really value is having the roads cleared in the winter. And the fact that you got this new equipment, which was $92,000,
Mhm.
but you secured a $75,000 grant.
Yeah.
That is a significant opportunity for the community, and it's just helps us overall. So I want to thank you for that and
Mhm.
your team. I know that you guys are always looking at ways to stretch our tax dollars, and this is just really one great example of that. So
No, we're really
thank you
really
for
pleased
that.
to get that grant. It was it's part of the governor's H2 Ohio grant program, and in many cases, when we send our money off to the state or the feds through our tax dollars, it, when it comes back, it comes with an agenda, and that agenda is not always easy to apply to the things that we do. In this case, their agenda met our needs, and it worked out very well. So we were happy to secure that grant. It's you know every
It's a win for the
it is
community.
every little bit of money we can bring back and use
Absolutely.
locally counts.
And it takes a lot of work from several areas when to go through this grant process.
Mhm.
So it's a significant amount of work to put in to try to get the funding,
Yeah.
to even apply for it. So again, very significant. And I just wanted to bring that up because that is a huge win for the community. So I feel like we're going to have a very impactful winter. I hate saying that. I'm not really a farmer's almanac girl, so don't even know what the predictions were, but I don't know. 2 significant snowfalls. I think we're going to have a significant winter. So tell us what the community can do when the crews are out there clearing the roads to help the process go more smoothly.
So if a simple one is if you have a driveway and can use it, please do. We can go around cars. We do it all the time. And there are some areas that don't, houses were built and didn't have driveways.
Mhm.
But when the cars are off the road, we can make it better for everybody. So if you have the opportunity to get your car off the road, please do. When you see a plow driver working, give them some space. That's their work zone. That's their office. You can call it what you want, but they have a lot going on. There are a lot of controls in that vehicle. There are a lot of flashing lights. Visibility is not the greatest. If you ever watch a plow driver, they usually have the window rolled down while they're plowing. That's because they have the defroster on so high it would burn them out.
Oh, wow.
So they drive around with the window down to the extent possible and have the defroster blasting to try to keep things comfortable. But give them some space. If you're giving them that extra 30 to 60 seconds, giving them the extra couple 100 feet can make a world of difference in them getting things done, everybody staying safe. And in the end, everyone will get where they want to get quicker
Sure.
if they get a little bit of space to work.
And what about like when residents are clearing their own driveways and sidewalks? I noticed that like a lot of people just dump it back into the street.
They do, and sometimes
I mean, I get it.
you
Where
know,
are you going to put it?
sometimes it's out of anger. I happen to live in an area that's they're kind of unique here in Springfield, but it's an eyebrow, so it's not a cul-de-sac. It's an eyebrow where the road kind of bulbs out in front of my house, and I end up with a ton of snow in my driveway every single storm. It's winter. It's the Midwest.
Yes.
We are going to plow driveways in. Mine gets plowed in. No one loves it, but that is the only place to put the snow. You can help by not throwing your snow back out into the street. If you throw it back into your yard, then there's less snow to be plowed into your driveway. And if possible, Wait until you've seen a plow go by to shovel. What I've been doing the past few years is I will shovel 2 wheel stripes down my driveway, so I hopefully don't pack that area down, and I will wait until a plow goes by for me or someone in my family to shovel.
Awesome. Well, again, I think you guys are going to have a busy season, and I just want to thank all the crews in advance for all the great work they've already done and all the work that I believe they had ahead of them. So, anything else?
I think we're in good shape.
We're in good shape. So we got plenty of salt, got a new salt brine maker, and got dedicated crews. So thank you so much.
We're just waiting now to see if it gets 60 degrees on Christmas Day.
I think it probably will, because that's usually what happens here. But hey, there'll be snow right after that, and then through the spring. But if we don't see you, which I don't think we will, this is our last show of the year. We'll see you next year. But until then, have a happy holiday, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.